Have you ever noticed that the words listen and silent have the same letters in them? That's the message I have for you today. Why does listen and silent work together? Hi, I'm Reverend Ellie Bierman, and I'm so glad that you joined us here today for Let's Get Metaphysical Show. That's where we show you how to discover the invisible forces running your life in every moment, not just now and then, but every single moment. Tune in, it'll make your life flow more easily. And now let's continue. When you're listening to somebody, in fact, when you're having a conversation with anybody, you want to do more listening. And the best way to listen is to be silent, to not keep butting in, to not be looking for your turn, for the break in the other person speaking so you could jump in with your ideas. What we teach here every week is coming from your heart, living from your heart. And so the kind of communication that really works is when you're coming from your heart. People can tell when they're being listened to. I remember a very well known speaker sharing, sorry, I forgot the name. Maybe I'll find it one day. Or if you know it, go ahead and share it with me. Was on an airplane trip and was carrying on a conversation with the passenger seated beside him. Now, here's what's very fascinating. When the two of them got off the plane, the one who was the person sitting beside the person I'm focusing on heard the other man share, "That was the most interesting person I ever met," as he was talking to the companion who met him at the plane. Why is that interesting? Why is it interesting? Because the person who is my subject, who I follow, who I admire, hadn't said very much at all. All he did was ask a question and then follow up to whatever the response was with another question. So communication is really about caring what the other person says, coming from your heart, so that when the person says something, responds to whatever remark or question that you asked, then you encourage them, or wow, that's really something, tell me more, or wow, that never happened to me. Keep going. Those kinds of words of encouragement keep the other person sharing about what's going on inside him, inside her. So, truly, the way to be a good conversationalist is ask a question, listen for the response, encourage the person to go further with their response, ask another question that follows, obviously, from the remark, from the response the person had said a moment ago. And you're really learning who the other person is, where they are in their life in that moment, and how they're enjoying talking about themselves. Because here's a key, maybe you've noticed it. People love to talk about themselves. And the most beautiful word, and at least in the English language, is a person's name. So if you're using their name in the conversation in your reply, they're automatically feeling heard. And you know the other side of that? You're learning their name. Because after you've spoken their name about 3 times, you're going to know their name. You're not going to forget it. How many people do you know say, "Oh, I can't remember names"? Well, duh, if that's what you're telling yourself. And the other person, nobody has an expectation of you to remember the name. So when you're truly listening, the other person feels heard. They know you're paying attention to them. They feel understood. And perhaps the most important thing is they feel valued. Because in today's world, how often do we actually have an opportunity to be heard, to be valued? It seems that most people are jumping in to get in the words they want to say and actually probably not even caring, not even paying attention to what you were saying because they couldn't jump in and start talking about their needs and their selves if they weren't listening. And to truly listen, you want to be silent most of the time, except for encouraging people to go on to tell you more. Now, remember that people spend less time listening to the words. We actually do our communications through our emotions. So always be aware of the emotions that you're transferring energetically. In other words, you are carrying on the conversation, you're valuing them, you're being heard because they feel the emotion that you're putting out there. Stop and think about it for a moment right now. Do you find yourself communicating verbally and that's what's getting across to the other person? Or is it the emotions with the words that are communicating what you're actually feeling, how you're actually connecting, how you're actually making a connection with the other person? Remember that your body language is a really big, important piece of your communication. How are you listening with your body, with your eyes? Eye contact in most cultures is very important, and be aware of someone who's from a culture, which some indigenous cultures are like that. Eye contact is something to avoid. So just by noticing when you're doing eye contact at first, see if the other person's matching your eye contact, or maybe they're looking down or looking away. Pay attention because you want to honor how the other person is communicating, feeling honored, and honoring you. Remember that empathy is being with a person so they're feeling understood and valued, as opposed to sympathy, where you're jumping in with a solution, which may or may not be appropriate, but people feel heard. And when they feel heard, they're listening to themselves and they're coming up with their own solutions to anything they're wondering about, for anything that's bothering them, instead of asking yes no questions. What happens when you ask a question and somebody can respond with yes or no? It kind of kills the conversation, doesn't it? There's no place else to go. So ask questions that take them someplace else where they're going to elaborate on their words. And again, they're going to a deeper place because they feel understood. When you're expressing your feelings, instead of telling the other people how to feel, this is especially important when you're talking to children. Use I messages so that people know how I feel, la la la, or I feel that I don't quite understand what you're saying. Can you tell me in different words in another way? Rather than attacking somebody with words like, you make me feel, and they're angry and they're not connecting at all. You can't make anybody feel a certain way. They have to assign an interpretation to your words to make themselves feel that way. It's a choice they're making. Is it accurate? No, it's just what's coming from their personal judgment of the words you're communicating. Now, if somebody's asking you a question, just take a moment to pause, collect your thoughts instead of just jumping back in like an automaton. Think about how you're interpreting what their question might be, what their response might be. And if it's unclear, then make yourself clear by asking, I'm not sure what you mean by that. Can you say it a different way? So that will prevent miscommunications that can lead to arguments or hurt feelings. So always remember, listen and silent, the same letters in the words. So long as you're coming from your heart, so long as you're coming with words of emotions, feelings, you're going to be understood. And equally important is the other person's going to feel like you're there with them, really wanting, really caring about them to be understood. Now, I wanted to share a couple things with you today. You probably might be seeing this. I had some really severe dizziness, and by putting this patch on this particular acupuncture point, it decreases my dizziness. Something else that has decreased my dizziness. You may or may not know that about 1/3 of people are very sensitive to energies. I'm not talking about sensitive to feelings or words. I'm talking about the energies present in the environment. I'm one of those people. And I realize, gee, I've been feeling cruddy lately and a little bit worse each day. And then it dawned on me, oh, I live someplace where there's 5G. I've never lived any place with 5G before. Really, you don't want your body in anything higher, at the most 3G. And it was impacting me pretty badly. In fact, when you look at pictures of live blood, you see the damage that 5G and the EMFs and being on your cell phone can cause. In just 2 minutes, the number of blood cells being damaged. So when I remembered that, and I remembered I'm sensitive, and I remembered that there's not just 5G ringing the house all the time, but the modem never goes off because I'm not in control of it. Because the houses, our neighbors, are probably at most, let's see, looking out the window, oh, I would say they're probably not more than 20, tops 30 feet away in each direction. So I'm being bombarded by things that I'm not used to being bombarded by because I'm used to being out in the country with a whole lot less EMFs and with a whole lot lower. As I said, it was 2G before. So realizing that, I remembered that for many, many years, I was using a product by Altera. Altera. And as soon as I remembered that, I went and ordered a replacement because somebody, I don't know if it was accidentally, they threw mine out. Wow. This was fantastic because now they have whole family plans. So now I have it on all my devices. And I have one that takes care of the whole house and another one that takes care of the car. So as soon as I connected all of those devices, no exaggeration, in less than 2 hours, my energy level came way up. So especially if you're sensitive to energy, and whether or not you know it, you're being impacted by it. You're going to feel even better when you learn about the devices. You will see the link in the show notes. And when I got it, I got just a super sale. And I think it was a back to school sale. So you can get your devices at a back to school sale. Going on to what else is important for you to know. Audible has a very special free 30-day trial for you where you can choose a book of your choice and explore the whole site. They have some amazing podcasts you can't get anyplace else, like ours. And when you take advantage, I highly recommend. You know that I'm very into science and philosophy and art. And I decided, you know what? Nobody ever reads to me. So I went in looking for fiction stories. So I've been listening to a number of stories for children and also to books like The Lord of the Rings, some other fiction books that I can just lie there, close my eyes, and be read to. I love Audible, and I encourage you to go in and look for what feels good to you. Children's stories, adult stories, fiction, pretty much any topic you're interested in. And that link is also in the show notes. Remember to go on over to alitlc.club when you join that special membership. For just $7 a month, you get all kinds of extras in there. Some videos that aren't shown anyplace else, some audios, some gifts that are only available in there. And you get to go there whenever you want to. And that's also where I'll be putting my special webinars in the future. So again, this is Reverend Allie Bierman thanking you for joining us here today for Let's Get Metaphysical show. And do remember, join our Facebook group so you get the extras I put in there. And remember, when you're on our show site, you can watch or listen to any episode. Enjoy every moment that's capital I-N, capital J-O-Y, because nothing in your life happens outside of you. You're interpreting whatever's coming in the environment once it gets into your body, into your mind. Otherwise, it just goes by. When the tree falls in the forest and there's nobody to hear it, is there a sound? I look forward to being here with you next time.